Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for the Philadelphia Phillies, and at the heart of it is their unquestioned leader, Bryce Harper. It's rare for him to hit these type of lows, and it's clearly impacting everyone else on the team. In this video, we want to dive into what is going on with Bryce Harper, why I still have hope that he will shake out of this, but what we're seeing at the plate, as well as highlight a little bit of what is going right outside of the baseball field for Bryce that I did not want to go unmentioned here. Now, before we dive fully into it, I do want to make sure you guys are smashing that subscribe button. That at this point in time, 93.9% of you guys have not subscribed to Phillies Digest just yet. We got to get that Phillies Digest family growing before we get into this postseason push. We want each and every one of you along for the ride, so make sure you're smashing that button if you have not already. But let's get into the topic of the day and talk some Bryce Harper. Luke, talk to me. Things do not look good for our guy right now.
Yeah, no, not at all. Had a really good Sunday. Looked really good on Sunday. Obviously, had the 3-hit day with the homer in the eighth. I think everyone thought the sky was finally up again and everything was good. And then their top 5 hitters go 3 for 19 last night with 9 strikeouts. So yeah, Harper, not good. Another 1 for 4 night. A guy who had a 302 average about a month ago is down to 276. It's just been one of those ruts, man. It's bad. He was like 1 for what was it, 38 at some point?
1 for 38, yeah,
something like that. Yeah, July 19th, he was hitting 300, and August 6th, now he's hitting 276.
Yikes.
Under a month it took him to drop his average 25 points. Just not good.
No.
He's talked a bunch about it. I still think, I thought the swing was a little better last night. I know there were 3 strikeouts, and I know if you look at the box score, it doesn't say the swing was good, but it's looking a little more promising. It seems like it's just kind of one of those things where it's going to be a bit of a long road to really get back to the consistent Bryce.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know who Bryce Harper is at this point. This was a guy who looked like he was in the MVP race for the start of the season and then clearly has hit a wall. That this is the same guy who just became the 42nd player in MLB history to reach 3,000 total bases. Shout out to Jeff Skversky for that tweet there. Only the 12th left-handed hitter. But the bottom line is it has not looked pretty at the plate. We're getting these swing doctors coming out in full force, kind of correcting things. And I do think there's a little bit of credence to that it has not looked right to my eyes either, and we're kind of seeing things like little corrections all over, that we're seeing all these kind of breakdowns. The bottom line is the dude's just not hitting. Now, what is concerning to me is it does feel like every time that Bryce Harper does go through one of these kind of ruts, it feels like he breaks out and becomes absolutely red hot. That's what I expected for this Dodgers series, that I thought this was going to be the period of time in which Bryce Harper breaks out, goes nuclear, and the team follows, because that tends to be how things connect with this Phillies team. Has not happened just yet. So you mentioned you see the swing looking a little better. Do you think this is a case of, obviously, they're playing a really talented Dodgers team, and baseball is a hard sport, that maybe he's just struggling up there? Or do you still think he's shaking the cobwebs of this slump that he's clearly in?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think, one, last night, that's a really good pitcher last night in Tyler Glasnow.
Yeah.
That dude's a freak when he's healthy. I'm happy that I finally saw a healthy Glasnow season, because it's been a while since he's had at least a full healthy season. Last night I think was just a bad night. I think he's still sort of shaking off these cobwebs, like you said. But I don't know how else to say it. It's just, when you go in a slump, you just have to swing out of it.
Yeah.
He's doing that. Like he's swinging the bat. He's not going down looking. He's definitely chasing a lot right now, which I think is a bit of an issue. I think as far as the approach from everyone, I think the last month has been pretty bad. But as far as from Bryce, his approach at the plate just hasn't looked how it usually does from him. So I think it's just a matter of him sort of getting back in the groove. I think he has a good opportunity tonight against Clayton Kershaw. He hasn't necessarily had the best career numbers against Kershaw. Matter of fact, he's actually struck out 16 times in 32 at-bats against Kershaw. So maybe not the past splits that are going to help him, but he's been on fire this year against left-handed pitching. He's hitting 301 with a 397 on base percentage and a 571 slugging percentage with a 969 OPS against lefties compared to just an 880 OPS against righties. So as far as that for Bryce, I think tonight, I think he just kind of needs to see a lefty. I think he just needs to see one go in again, like you said. Basketball, right? Sometimes you got to see one go in.
Yep.
So I think if you don't necessarily look at past stuff against Kershaw, a lot of that hasn't been for a little bit. So that's a lot of early career stuff when it was really still elite Clayton Kershaw. So I think tonight's a good opportunity for Bryce to maybe get back on the board.
Yeah, I definitely hope so. And while it does feel a little, and by the way, as far as the chase rate, I think the sliders down and away are absolutely crushing him in a way that, like, I have not seen that from him generally. Like, if just isn't something that we typically correlate to Bryce, but I'm seeing him chase that all the time, which that just has to stop. Now, it does feel a bit in bad taste to bring this up while there are the struggles on the field, but I would be remiss if we did not have these good moments from Bryce Harper and a portion of why we like him so much here in Philadelphia. And I want to start with this quote once he did break free of that slump and hit that home run and seemed to have that 3-hit game. And he finished with the quote, "When little Johnny goes 0 for 100 in his next couple at bats, let's make sure that parent don't get mad at him because we all do it." So I do love that there. And I think even better, we got this from Freddy Freeman speaking about how Bryce Harper has been in constant contact with him as he's obviously battled that issue with his kid who's going through some serious medical issues there. Obviously, prayers up. And an awesome moment last night during that game where there was the standing ovation as he returned to the game. That was one of those moments where this is what sports are about. This is bigger than anything. So shout out to all the fans in attendance for pulling that off. Glad things are going better for Freddy Freeman, but pretty cool to see Bryce Harper kind of at the heart of all these kind of good feeling things.
Yeah, that moment really last night, that was awesome. That was really cool. Just a really scary. I mean, I don't obviously want to get into the whole thing, but just a really, scary situation for the Freeman family. And I think that definitely helped him last night getting that sort of ovation back. Obviously, Freddie, listen, I know he played for the Braves for a while and he was on the Dodgers obviously now, but I've always had so much respect for Freeman. I always thought he was a very classy guy.
Yeah.
He just always seemed like a really good dude. So that was really nice to see. As far as the Bryce Harper Johnny comments, those were really funny. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I think. And I'm glad he said that because hopefully these, AAU parents that are throwing their kids in 9 different leagues and getting mad if they don't have 3 hits a game watch that. Because, listen, like, if your kid goes 0 for 20, you can go watch Bryce Harper because Bryce Harper's currently hitting the ball worse. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. Bryce is just one of those guys that obviously he's going to be mad and he's going to have his, he's going to have the F-bomb hot mics after he grounds out or he strikes out. But he's a guy that likes to make a lot of jokes, I've started to realize over the past. But I did real quick want to jump back to what you said about those down and away sliders. Because I did get to pull this up as you were talking there a little bit. As far as Bryce, he's been murdered this year by sliders. 2024, he's hitting 197 against the slider. Last year, he hit 250. The year before that, he hit 291. And the year before that, he's hitting 287. So it's been pretty night and day. He has a 33% strikeout rate against sliders this year. Just a 439 slugging percentage compared to this year, a 524 slugging percentage against fastballs, a 604 against changeups, a 684 against sinkers.
Wow.
And an 810 slugging percentage against cutters. So really, if guys have a slider, they're burning them through Bryce right now. And I think that's kind of what guys are doing. You're going to see it tonight with Kershaw. Kershaw doesn't necessarily have a slider. He's more of a curveball. But I think Kershaw is going to throw some off speed at him tonight because it's been working. So it's really the matter of Bryce. And really when you tend to. I apologize. Kershaw's main pitch is a slider. It's called a curve. It kind of slides, but it's more. It looks like a curveball.
Okay.
But so as far as tonight, listen, they're going to be coming to him. I mean, the issue with that is you just have to wait back. You can't get out in front, and you can't go chase him because a lot of times Clayton Kershaw doesn't throw his sliders in the zone. They're down and away. They're down and in, actually, on lefties, which is a bit odd. So, yeah, it's just a matter of going out and just sitting on a pitch. Find the fastball because you're going to get him from Kershaw, and he tends to leave him high. He likes to keep the fastball elevated, which is something Harper has struggled at a bit, but he's been getting at really better with the high pitch. So just got to really dial it in and just sort of sit back on the pitch because I think that's been a really big issue for him this year.
Yep, 100%. And that's really all Bryce Harper and the rest of the Phillies team can do at this point is keep plugging through it, keep trying to figure it out and have some takeaways. We did have this quote from Nick Castellanos that I did want to highlight post-game saying, quote, "I'm not aware of the standings. I can't speak on behalf of the team. The way I go about it is that tomorrow we have a baseball game. And if we do the best we can to prepare, that puts us in the best position to win. And if we win tomorrow, that's a good thing." And it does feel like it's a pretty universal sentiment that is kind of echoed through this Phillies team. It's just keep plugging through, keep preparing, and this has got to turn around at some point. So for Bryce Harper and the rest of the Phillies team, I think that is just the story. Do you have anything more to add as far as the mentality from there, Luke?
No, I mean, he kind of nailed it on the head.
Yeah.
You just got to keep going. Like it's just, I mean, you can't stop, right? Like you can't stop trying.
Yeah.
You're not going to win that way. So yeah, I mean, they just got to keep pushing. You got to get a win, and then after you get that win, you got to win the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't worry about next series. You can't worry about tomorrow night. You just have to worry about the game that's in front of you. That's really what it is. Listen, this team's not going to miss the playoffs. Like there's not going to be some crazy big thing. They're going to play in October. Mm-hmm. And listen, I know it sucks right now. I'd rather them get this out now than do it all in October. But I would freaking kill for a win tonight. I'll tell you that as well. I would kill for a big win in Los Angeles. I think it would be big for them. I think it would be big for the team. I think it would be big for the fan base. I think it would just really be big for everyone to see them really just go out and just tee off on a pitcher. Like, go out tonight and just put up, like, 7 runs. Like, just go do it. And then don't allow 8 runs. Like, yeah. That's really where I'm at.
100%. And hopefully the team is listening. Casty does have a way with words, man. So shout out for him for putting it out there. And shout out to you guys for tuning in. So before we log off here, one more time, make sure you guys are smashing that subscribe button. Follow along for everything we got coming here on Phillies Digest. Drop any comments you got below and make sure you're dropping a like on this video. And we'll be talking with you next time right here on Phillies Digest. Peace.